Very much. Next item on our agenda for tonight is going to have a presentation from Adrian Stott. We've heard a bit about overtraining. It's been mentioned a couple of times already, and Adrian's going to give us some thoughts on that. Adrian.
Thanks, Ian. We're running a little bit late, so I'm going to just have a quick fire and give you a few ideas on how not to overtrain and how to watch out for various signs of it. We could talk all evening about overtraining. Probably everyone here has experienced overtraining at some point in their life. Mike, thank you very much. Is that better? Yes, I can hear an echo now. Man who likes the sound of his own voice, yes. Overtraining, we could talk all night about it. Probably everyone here has experienced overtraining to some degree at some point in their running lives. It's how to recognize it and what to do about it when it happens. Yeah. Grete Waitz, some of you might remember, great Norwegian marathon runner, always used to say that overtraining is wasted training, which is a theme that Lucy developed as well. Junk miles don't really get you anywhere. In 40 years of running, I have overtrained many times, and over the last 10 to 15 years, when I've been working with some very good elite level athletes, half of them get to a championship a bit jaded, shall we say, yeah, and you sometimes wish they had looked at things a little better. It's all a question of balance, because all of us want to achieve goals, which means we've got to push ourselves. It's getting that balance so you don't end up on the physio's counts or, as Sean has alluded to, in hospital. Those things can happen. So, a few little principles I'm just going to mention just to help you go over a couple of ideas. And one is what coaches refer to as the rubber band principle. It might sound a bit strange, this little guy's stretching a rubber band, but if you can imagine that when you're training, and you're training hard, you're stretching a rubber band, okay? You're doing your hard session, you're doing your long run on a Sunday, you're working hard. But the rubber band then has to go back, small again. And then you have a couple of days rest, and then you do your next hard session. And you're stretching the rubber band, and then it's stretching a bit more, and then you have what the coaches call the adaptation phase, where you just rest and, okay, let's absorb that last session, etc., etc. If you keep pulling the rubber band, what is going to happen? If you go Monday 10 miles, Tuesday 20 miles, Thursday 30 miles, something's going to give. So it's trying to strike that balance so that the rubber band doesn't snap, okay? There she is, Steph 12. She has quite an interesting approach to overtraining because she's moved up from 10K cross country up to marathon in the last few years, as you know. Moving up to marathon was a big jump for her. It's always difficult when you've been very good on the track and even done a couple of good half marathons. You start increasing the volume for a marathon, and she changed coaches as well, and the coach she had wasn't quite understanding her recovery, and she was doing things standard marathon schedule. Monday says this, Tuesday says this, Wednesday's a rest day, Thursday's another hard session, Friday's an easy day, Saturday is a race or another hard session. And she was finding and telling her coach, look, I'm doing a hard run on Tuesday, on Thursday I'm not recovering. Oh, but the schedule says you've got to do this or you're not going to be ready for this marathon in a month's time. And she found by doing too many hard sessions close together, she was just not recovering. So what did she do? Pretty radical, she ditched the coach. Very good coach. Some of you probably know her. I'm not going to mention names, but a well-known household coach. And sort of said, I think I can do this better because I know my body better than my coach. And so she's also very lucky in that she is a supply teacher, so her work life is a bit flexible. But she will do a hard session on a Tuesday, and then she'll just rest, and she'll do her next hard session when she feels she's ready. That might be Friday, it might be Saturday, it doesn't matter. She knows that in a 3-month block, she's got to do X amount of hard runs to get her to that optimum phase, and it doesn't matter if there's a week between them. She has worked out that the hard sessions done really hard and then recovered from will still get her to that place she wants to be in 2 or 3 months' time. Now, I don't know your training, we all don't know each other's training, but just think about that over the next few weeks, so that you're not just stretching that rubber band and stretching that rubber band, you're actually making that rubber band go back to normal sometimes. And that can take longer than you think. Okay? Just an interesting idea for you to think about when you're out running, because when we're out running, we've got a bit of time to think, okay? Some of these are the basal faulty bleeding obvious, main causes of overtraining of increasing the workload, but I'm just going to fire through a bit. Are you tired, or are you fatigued, or are you absolutely exhausted? It's like 3 different sort of themes. We've all felt these things, and it's trying to figure out where you are on a scale of 1 to 10. Where are you? You're always going to get up to 6, 7, 8 quite easily. So when you get to 9, 10, that's when you're getting into the red line. Okay? And it's not a problem to go into the red line now and again. It's just a case of how you recover after that. So a little aside, Andy Young, who coaches Lara Muir, any coach will say you've got to push someone beyond the red line to find out where it is. When you find out where your red line is, you can then work around that so you don't go over it too often. Any coaches here know that? You know. And sometimes he found that Lara wasn't pushing herself hard enough to get up to that red line, so he basically used to lie to her. Had the stopwatch at the side of the track and wasn't telling the truth. And then by doing that, it helped her push herself to get to the red lines, and she started making a lot more progress. Yeah. But we've all got to find out where our red lines are and then take the time off afterwards to get back into keeping that rubber band normal. 3 basic kinds of exhaustion. Acute exhaustion, which is get breathless, that's like a hard session. Fatigue of the whole system, it needs a few days rest. That's probably the ones that Steph's talking about. And then there's chronic fatigue, which takes a long time, sometimes months, years to recover from. And trying to figure out which state of exhaustion are you in. Just to flip through a few slides, this is Laura at London World Champs, I think. That was the first lap when they were all bunched up together. This is getting towards lap 3, I think, when Laura took the lead. And then the finish, a bit blurry. She finished 4th, the worst possible place. And common sight, we've seen Laura at the end of a race. That's good. That's like acute exhaustion, because a few minutes later, she's fine. She's up and running. That's like you're doing your track session. You recover quite quickly. Next stage. Anyone remember this one? A bit blurred, but this is the Brownlee brothers, so I don't recognize it. And yeah, Johnny was having a hard time. And brother Ali came to the rescue and got him over the finish line. But that was, that's going to the well and digging a bit deep, should we say, yeah? That would probably have taken him, blurry pictures, but yeah, he got to the line and then collapsed. That would have taken him more than 24 hours, 48 hours to get over, should we say. That's getting into sort of more acute fatigue. Sound familiar to anyone here? Yeah? A few nods around the room. Yeah, we've all been there. Okay. And then, oh dear, again. Then you get beyond the beyond. What has this guy done? You just... I don't need to say anything else, really. That just sums it up. But this guy's going to take a long time to recover, okay? Sean, would you like to comment?
No.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So it's trying to recognize where you are on that scale, yeah. Ever seen this before, William? Yeah, yeah, a few heads nodding, yes. Okay, so this is me, obviously, I'm aware we're running short of that. A lot of the signs that you get for overtraining can be easily disappear in 24 to 48 hours. It's when things persist that you've got to keep an eye on things, yeah. There are some classic signs, increased fluid intake at night, persistent diarrhea, always getting infections. Some of you remember Don Ritchie, quite a useful ultra runner. He was always getting little colds and infections because he was at the edge probably every month, every year. And yeah, often he'd colds through the winter, but kept training through it, and probably in hindsight it wasn't a good thing to do year after year. And weight loss, when you have lymph nodes, they're all classic signs. You can find them in any manual. there's emotional signs too. Loss of enthusiasm, lethargy, inability to concentrate, getting irritated at work. Yeah, sound familiar? Yeah, little things, just little work colleagues irritate you. I'm not tired! Yeah. Poor coordination, clumsiness, bumping into doors, all that sort of thing. That is a classic signs of overtraining. They just need to have a few days taking it easy. Yeah. Falling asleep at work, yeah. Hands up who hasn't done it. Oh, there's one hand over there. Little angel in the corner there. Yeah, look familiar? That's the wee snooze. And there's the big snooze. Then you've got to fess up and say, hey, something's going on here. I need to do something about this. And there are plenty of sources to help. I'm going to get to that. I'm just going to go on to this one. This guy you might recognise. You're going to see him sitting here in a minute. This is Rowan, last year's winner of the West Highland race. And this is just to illustrate a common conundrum a lot of runners have, especially when they're building up to a race. So tailor two runners. You've got Rowan Bosworth and Rowan Bosworth. Okay. A month before your major race, you do a stepping stone race for a hard training session, and it doesn't go too well. And you think, oh, bugger, race is a month away, what am I going to do? You basically got two choices. And studies been done on this. It's led by swimmers in America. And they actually use them as guinea pigs. You know, one thinks, gosh, I've got to train harder. I'm not at my optimum. If I train harder, then I'll make up that lost ground that I feel I've lost, okay? Great, yeah, a lot of hard sessions, 2 weeks, really at it, going to be at my peak come race time. Runner B puts his feet up for 10 days, doesn't do a thing. Which one do you think is going to be best on race day? Don't answer that, because there's a lot of different factors in there, because the one thing I didn't say is when you have that bad session, you need to go and talk to your coach first, because there might be other reasons for it. It might be just a crap day, you know, something else going on in life, you know. The wife's in a bad mood, the husband's in a bad mood, you know, the kids are in a bad mood. So you underperform for many reasons. There's emotional reasons as well as physical reasons. So if you do the fling and you bash it and you nail it, but then on Monday or Tuesday you're still goosed, it's not because you might have run it too hard, but you just got to think, well, do I ease off? Was that good, etc. Just always have an eye on the big picture, the big race that's coming up. A few of those things sound familiar to people. Yeah, a few nodding heads. Yeah. So the moral of the whole story is sometimes less training or more rest can produce better results, just on a weekly basis and also on in a 3-month block of training sometimes. And don't do what the American scientist who did that study was. The guy who overtrained then fell into what they call the valley of death. I love that. Yeah. I think triathletes call it the box. Is that right? Yeah, yeah. They just fall into the box, which is like the coffin, basically, where you just, instead of getting better, you just get worse, and your whole season just falls apart. So I'm not going to run through these because these are all freely available on the web in various places, because you've got far more interesting people to listen to in a minute. But I am just going to finish by saying you too can make that PB and get to that finish line and look pretty happy like this guy did. That banner will be waiting for you in Fort William in June. Okay. Good luck. I won't take questions because you've got far more people to ask questions to in a minute. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.